Hey guys, I'm back. I know most of you are at work and all. I was going to talk today a little bit about retirement. I was able to retire at age 45, so which is really good. It wasn't like something like I was planning on doing, but I'm actually disability retired. I'll tell you a little bit about that. But I just wanted to prepare my friends for what they could expect when that day comes, especially as garbage pail kid collectors, like what will change after you retire and all that stuff. I'm going to be showing you this bin here of what I call tier 2 candy containers. These are candy containers that I definitely love, but they're not necessarily like valuable per se. Something like a sloppy waffle will run anywhere from $10 to $30 based on if it has the original candy and stuff like that. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about. You might remember some of these. I thought you might enjoy looking at them. Yeah, you might remember sloppy waffles back in the day. This was a piece of bubble gum, and there was syrup candy that you poured on top of it. It all came in this monochromatic little case here. Yeah, so I was able to retire about a year and a half ago. I'm going to wait to the end to tell you like my personal story. That way, if you just want to hear the retirement part, you can just watch the beginning. So let me start that now. So yeah, retirement, man, has been not quite what I expected. I remember having long discussions with my family. They would retire. I remember watching even my grandmother retire and what that was like, or what I felt she was going through. And even my mom retired recently, and I talked to her while she was going through sort of that transition from working every day, having a really strict schedule, to just having free time, just doing, no one telling you what to do. So now my own personal experience has been this. So you got to understand, I was getting up for 22 years. I was getting up around 5:45 in the morning, and I was usually leaving the house around 6:40 to get to work around 7:15. Which already that's stressful for someone. I'm kind of a night owl. I've always been a night owl. I just love the night. Part of being just kind of an introvert, I just love the still of the night. And I always just like to get shit done when everyone's sleeping. I can just like think and not be like distracted. And so it was always tough this entire time to work in the morning and to be just super alert. So I don't know what you guys do for a career or for a job, but I was a school teacher. Well, I'm having trouble focusing on any of these containers. Let me see. Let me pick some up. Let's see. Okay. There's no real rhyme or reason to this particular box. They are in sets though, but these don't connect with these. They're kind of jumbled in a way, but kind of grouped as well. So let me just show you some stuff. So these are, you remember the gym lockers, school gym lockers. So this represents a locker, a school locker. Inside, this one's empty. Let's see. Here we go. This one has candy. This is a rare, like a little chartreuse color one. Can't get it open. 1 second. Here you go. Remember these? And inside you had Gym Short candies. You had a bar of soap candy. They came in novelty shapes. You guys remember those? They came in all kinds of colors. You're looking at every single color. The white ones are the rarest. These were only made in Canada. And this is particularly rare because I have the original sticker on the back. I've never seen another one. Now on this yellow one, if this sticker fell off, you wouldn't know it from any other U.S. candy container. But so it is important the yellow one stays on. But just seeing white gem lockers means, oh, that's Canadian. So, and in the UK, they have the ones that have the little loop on the top. So this is a UK one. So see where the two loops, these are both UK. Yeah, man. So going from getting up at 5:45 for over 2 decades, and not to have to get up at 5:45 and just to get up whatever time you want, it's what you think it is. It's an absolute blessing. And it's something my wife is particularly jealous of, that I can just sleep to whenever I want to get up. And I know in the beginning she was making me like chore lists, like kind of like honey, what do you call them? Like where you just make a list for your spouse to do. Usually the wife makes the husband a list, and honey-do list, I guess. But that's even faded out because now I'm almost 2 years into this. But yeah, it is what you think it is, as far as, yeah, you can sleep to whatever time you want. The one thing I have noticed is my sleep schedule is getting progressively worse. So when I started, I was staying up till around 2 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm around 4:30 at night, staying up till about 4:30 every night. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still getting 7 hours. I just have to get up later. Today I got up around 11:15. And yeah, so that's a blessing if it's a blessing to you. If you hate having to have a work schedule, that is definitely something. I think that's very universal with people that retire, is that the whole sleep schedule thing is just like one of the best parts. Okay, these are, you remember Doghouse bubble gums? So it's in the shape of a little doghouse. And then you open it, and there's a novelty hot dog bubble gum inside. This is a piece of bubble gum, and it came in all these colors. Now, most people have never seen these colors. I have some very rare ones. You're looking at 15 years of hunting. The rarest ones I have are by far this weird brown color, mauve. I have a teal one I've never seen before. I've got a trans, sort of a manganese blue. All right, you guys might remember bed bugs candy. And you can see here I have all kinds of strange colors. I found sort of this caramel looking color one there. I've got the brown one here that matches that brown. I found some cool colors over the year, but if you remember, these open up these open up and there's like little bugs in there. Bed bugs. Yeah, they were called bed bugs by Fleer. Fleer was the competitor to Topps back in the day. These are mailbox candies full of hearts, and they had 3 series of them. The first series are blue, green, and yellow. And then they have various series of Valentine's Day color ones. These are phony phones. So this is a pay phone, right? Like outside of a gas station. You remember in the 80s there was all those pay phones everywhere? You might have used them. I used them all the time. Yeah. I have some very weird colors of those too that you just don't see. There's that trans blue color. Some weird trans green color. Yeah, I love the candy containers because you can kind of like make chains of them, almost like you can with Garbage Pail Kids and cheap toys. They typically made every candy container in sort of like the rainbow colors, and you can put together really nice spreads of them, just like you can something in Garbage Pail Kids. And they're really pretty. They're fun to photograph. They're just fun to just have. And I've always been really attracted to candy. And especially the containers they come in. I think they're just great little pieces of, like little pieces of art or something. Yeah, man. But so I think the biggest thing that I wish people would have told me is how it kind of it fucks. It really does fuck with your identity. So, I went to college. It actually took me 5 years to get through it because I had changed my mind a few times on what I wanted to be. I was just going to do like a MFA in like visual art. But I decided, I think I told you guys that story. I had some pressure at home, sort of in my family, to go the education route. But yeah, man, just having to work so hard to become a teacher, and then just the demands of being a teacher, like in the classroom every day, to nothing. I have absolutely nothing. You'll be very surprised how it just disappears, like it's gone. So, for example, there is sort of like a honeymoon period. I found this out with a lot of different things in my life. It seems like the honeymoon period lasts about 2 weeks. So what I'm talking about is when I retired, the first 2 weeks was very weird. But it was sort of like you were in this another world of, oh man, and wow, I can get up anytime I want. Like you're still like in amazement of the freedom of it. Because I don't know about you, but jobs and careers can be very like, they're just really demanding, and they really control you with time and stuff, and just all the titles. Like you feel like you have to be a certain way. But imagine if all that in a snap, a Thanos snap, just disappeared. So let me ask you, who were you before you started your career? Because here's the reality. When you retire, you're going to revert back to who you were before you started your career. That's what I'm so shocked about. So how I was feeling basically in college is how I feel today sitting here with you, and how I feel every morning. Now I don't feel young. I'm not saying that. You don't feel like yourself, but whatever your mindset was is how you feel. And me being a really positive, ambitious person, reverting back to that older self where I had so much like dreams and ambitions, it's crazy, man. It's been crazy. So my experience is you don't slow down at all. You actually double up. So I have trouble sitting still. My mind keeps flipping back to all kinds of things. I've experienced a lot of confusion, like even with the quitting Garbage Pail Kids. I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I'm not quitting, so I'm pretty sure I'm not quitting at all. If it turns out that I don't quit, let me just tell you, let me kind of be honest. I just need to be honest with you guys. When I started this, I did definitely want to quit. But see, during this whole process, you got to realize when I wake up at like 10, 11 o'clock, I wake up to a completely empty house. I wake up to a completely empty neighborhood because everyone's at work. I do whatever I want. I always go to Starbucks. I have a little addiction to Starbucks that I have to feed. I get lunch, I come back, and then I try to plan what I do for the day. It's always some sort of making some sort of video or some sort of I'm doing. One thing I don't show you guys is I've been doing displays and sending them to museums. I'm trying to get some shows together. So that's the thing with retirement. You're going to be very shocked. You think that you need a rest. You do probably need a rest, but after a couple weeks, you don't want to rest at all, because you're going to revert back to your older self, and it's going to be crazy, man. You're going to be very shocked. So my suggestion is to maybe make some plans. So if you're going to retire, say in a year, get some things in place, that like some outlets in place. Oh, these are cool, man. These are 1979 Tops Robo candies. These are pre-transformers. These are neat. These are made by Fun Foods. They're little coolers that have beer in them. They come with labels. Fuck. They come with labels. I mean, some have soda, some have beer. This one has, do you? They have little labels that go around the little candies. This guy that came in, I still hadn't opened it. It should be a brown one. In fact, I can open it right now. Let's see. Yeah, I've never seen a brown one. Yeah, man, so if you're going to retire anytime soon, my suggestion is to... What's my suggestion? Okay, my suggestion is, I don't know, whatever you like to do. Like if you're really fit, maybe, join a gym. You're going to need something to do. I mean, how many times have I known people to just go back to work? They're like, it is true, you do get kind of bored. Oh, this is weird, man. What the fuck is this? Yeah, when I buy candy, guys, this stuff is really old. And think about people that would save an old candy container. I mean, some of these come from hoarders' houses, and they were in someone's basement for 40 years. And a lot of times when I buy this stuff, they come in weird little boxes like this. Because these people are like finding them when they move to a new house. They'll just find something they forgot in the bottom of a box, and they'll put them in these weird little packages. I'm always getting like weird little shipping boxes. Mr. Boston Distillery. I've never seen this. Bro, 1961? Anyway. Looks like you open it like this. They're actually really cool. Yeah, it is that one. Yeah, look at this. This is brown. I've never seen a brown Playmate Cooler candy. Oh, it's very brown. It's definitely not like sun damage. It's not like, because I have some things that they're discolored. This is not a discolor situation. This is clearly this was made like this. That's one thing that keeps me in the candy world, is there's always a discovery, man. Constantly. Constant things, like weird little things that'll pop up. Constantly discovering stuff. But in Garbage Pail Kids, it's not like that. I mean, I had to wait how long to find finger puppets. Anyway, that's really cool. So anyway, my story, how I got to retire at age 45 is I have 3 health conditions. Now, if you look on my Facebook profile, I have some posts about it. but I'll just tell you guys kind of what's going on. So it started with me. It started in my 20s. Actually, when I was 23, I I was on vacation with my family. I mean, my wife, and at the time, my stepdaughter. We were at the beach, and around 4 o'clock in the morning, I tried to go to the bathroom. I went to go pee, basically. And when I turned my body to get out of the bed, I fell to the floor. And I could not move my legs. And I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I could move my legs, but my joints were like, one of them was locked up on me, which I'd never experienced. And the other one, I was in excruciating pain. And I didn't know what was going on. And I ended up crawling to the bathroom. I didn't wake up, the girls or anything. I just crawled to the bathroom. And I went pee, and I got back, I crawled back, got in bed, and I just prayed that when I woke up the next day, it would be gone. So the next morning came, and dude, there was nothing wrong with me at all. Nothing. Zero. There was nothing wrong. We had a great day at the beach, went out to eat, all that stuff you do, at the beach. And so everything was fine. I don't know what it was. I don't know why. When I went to go to the bathroom, I could not walk. I don't know what happened that night. And this would have been around 1998 is when all this started. So anyway, we got back home. This would have been, 3 days later or so. And I started having like a pain in my elbow. And at the time I was a teacher, I taught art. That was my career. And so I didn't know what was going on. Why would my elbow be hurting? Did I sleep on it wrong? In your head, you're constantly trying to rationalize why the fuck you have a pain, right? When something hurts on you, now we're getting older, you might have a pain. Well, you're always trying to rationalize it. So I didn't know what was really going on. I wasn't that worried about it, honestly. I got some aches and pains. When the seasons change, by the way, I get aches and pains. I don't know about you, but sometimes things pop up. But this was in the summer, so I don't know. So a couple days go by, and it seemed like every time I would wake up, there would be a different joint that was hurting. And eventually, it was my wrist. And I was, the pain would jump from, joint to joint, all over my body, like my knees. It would get in my back and stuff. But then it got to be to where it was in my wrist, and then I'd wake up the next day, it would be back in my wrist. And then the next day, wrist. And then it was like nothing else hurt. It was only in my wrist. So I went to the college doctor, and she thought maybe I had been bit by a tick. And she asked me if I had had a tick bite recently. And yeah, I did. I had had a tick bite actually the week before. And it was on my knee. And it did get really red. And I used to get bit by ticks a lot. On hikes, we would hike. That's something me and my wife would do. We'd go on arrowhead hunting hikes, and I would get bit by ticks all the time, even though I'd spray myself with DEET and all that stuff, But there was one that had gotten on my knee the week before, and so anyway, the nurse was like, I think the nurse practitioner was like, let's just treat you for Lyme disease. And so I got some doxycycline. That's what you treat that with. And I took the regimen of it, and I started feeling a little bit better, but I still had some aches and pains in my wrist. And I didn't tell anybody about it. And it just got to be where it wasn't going away at all. And so I had so much fucking pain in my wrist. And what I later found out is basically that the arthritis had gotten to my wrist and was basically fusing the cartilage in my wrist. So basically what happens if you don't treat this, you basically lose all the cartilage in your joints. And that's why it's so painful. It's bone on bone. You know, that's why there's cartilage there so you can move your wrist and stuff. But if you don't have any cartilage in your joints, it's very, very fucking painful. Like unbearable, really. So I felt like I didn't really know, honestly, what was going on. They weren't really clear on if it was maybe Lyme disease. Anyway, none of the matter. I was so busy working. You know, you can't really focus on this shit when you have a career. Like, they needed me to teach. I couldn't take off weeks at a time to go see about some wrist pain. But then the problems really started after a couple months. It got into my ankles. Let me tell you, if you have arthritis in your ankles, it's life-changing in a bad way. You can almost not function at all. Like, it changes your life. Let me just show you some stuff while I'm blabbering here. These are Funny Farms from 1984. This was designed by Thomas Bunk. Fun fact. Got some Fleer gum machines. Even got some Canadian variants somewhere. It's a very rare purple. It's an Easter. It was only released for one Easter in 1987. Got some Topps Big Tooth candy. In the UK, they call these rotten teeth candies. Got some Topps Munchie Mummies designed by the late great Jay Lynch. Got some 1986 Bodacious Ooze candy from Topps. One of their last novelty candies they ever made. Got some Leaf Reuse It recycled bubblegum bin candies. This represents a recycle bin. Remember back in the 90s, they started all the recycling movements. So this is kind of playing off that craze. Yeah, so after about a year, I had full-blown arthritis, and it got to where I could not stand it anymore. I had to have some pain medication. There's no way I could get up every morning at 5:45 and go work at a high-stress. I was at a high school at that time teaching art, teaching on a high school level. And there's no way I could put up with that pain. It was just unbearable. I mean, when it got into my ankles, I just wanted to die, man. Yeah. I think for years I kind of went through that stage of just kind of like, I don't know, man. I just got really numb, man, because when you live in chronic pain constantly, it just takes away your spirit, man. And I'm not someone who would ever commit suicide, though I have tried. See that where I cut my wrist? I was back in high school. But yeah, but as a actual mature adult, I would never try anything like that again, or even go down that path. But you just kind of, it's almost like you just kind of wait to die. Basically, you're just kind of like, you give up, and you're like, if you want to take me, I'm ready. That sort of thing. Okay, guys, these are 1981 Bug Light Topps candies. A few of them are from Canada. Okay. Let's get over here and look around. These should be Donruss. Yeah, Donruss tennis gums. So inside, you might remember these guys if you collected anything in the 80s. Remember these little tennis gums? Can't get the fucking cap off. Yeah, they came in these BB containers. You guys ever have a BB gun? You know, they came in those little. They basically bought a big a big inventory of those BB canisters, and they just relabeled them. God damn it! Here we go. You guys remember tennis gum? 40 Love. Yeah, so that was sort of that thing. I finally got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 25 years old. So it took about 2 years from the time I had that episode at night where I couldn't walk, and it took about 2 years to where I could not stand it anymore. I had to go see a doctor. And, you know, I went to some doctors that I should have never went to because I didn't even know, like, what to call it. You got to understand, in 1998, like, we had the internet, but it wasn't like where I had access to the internet. It was just hard. Remember, like, a lot of us, we forget how hard it was to get information back in the day, especially if you didn't know what you're even looking for. So I went to different doctors, and finally one of them was like, they would do x-rays, and like, I think one of them finally said, you probably have rheumatoid arthritis. And so he finally referred me to a rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist was in Augusta. And so the reason I live in Augusta is this is where my rheumatologist lives. And so eventually we were able to move our home to here so I could so I can live by my rheumatologist. In fact, if you drive down this street about 0.4 miles, that's where his office is. So yeah, man, I got diagnosed and they put me on Remicade. I was on that for like 8 years. And so I kept teaching. This whole time I kept teaching. It was still very unbearable, even with pain medication, even with all the steroids and all the steroid injections. I kept teaching. My thing the whole time has been my ankles. You know, it's one thing to have wrist issues, which, by the way, is very problematic for an art teacher to have wrist issues, or any artist, right? But that wasn't even my fucking complaint. My complaint is I couldn't walk. You know, I'm fine for 30 minutes, but I have to teach for 8 hours a day. And I have to run around a classroom for 8 hours a day. I've got to prep materials, get shit out, put shit up, grade, run here and there. You can't, it's probably not safe to have someone with rheumatoid arthritis teaching your children art. But that's not even why I got retirement. So, because it's hard to get disability with arthritis. So what happened with that is in 2014, I was standing in front of my morning fourth grade class. I was teaching elementary at the time. Going over, what was I going over? I think some Chinese porcelain designs. We're doing something, I don't know, it was a long time ago. But anyway, we're doing something about Chinese porcelain. And I lost the ability to form sentences and words and stuff like that. It was like I lost the ability to speak. And I was feeling really tired that morning too, so I didn't know what was going on. And somehow I survived from 8 o'clock in the morning, where my first class was, to 3:30 the afternoon. Somehow, I don't know how I did it. I would say, you know, imagine your teacher, go back to elementary school, imagine a teacher standing there, and your teacher saying a sentence, but by the end of the sentence, they're losing the ability to finish the sentence. And some kids were noticing it. It got even worse by the last period. But I had kind of trained myself. I kind of knew to keep sentences really short. It was weird. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't tell anyone until I got home. And then I really broke down when my wife came home. And she was like, well, obviously we're going to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. And they thought I was having a stroke. So they put me in the emergency room and they did all this shit. They ran tests. And I started feeling better. I just started feeling better. I mean, I was in the hospital overnight. And they just released me. They set me up some appointments with some specialists. And so that was kind of the stage there. But this problem kept coming back. So the problem was I would be talking and it would become this mumbling sound. Like I couldn't form, the words or whatever. I also was having double vision. My arms and legs were extremely tired. I would just after walking from one side of my house to the next, other side, I would just be so exhausted feeling. One weird thing is when I would be eating supper, especially at night, eating supper at night, I would be chewing on something I don't know, whatever we're eating. And I would lose the ability to move my mouth. It was weird. So I went to different doctors, and no one could figure out what was going on. They thought I had had a stroke, so they did all the tests to try to indicate that I had a stroke, but they couldn't find any. And so I kept going around to different doctors. Again, this was 2014. And finally, I gave up, and I went back to my rheumatologist, the guy that I've been going to for 25 years now. And I was sitting in his office, and he didn't know what to do with me. And this is a doctor that I absolutely love. He's like a father figure to me now at this point, and because he's taken care of me since 1998. And he's like, Russ, he was like, we got to figure this out. And I said, I know, we got to figure this out. Even though this wasn't his thing to figure out, right? He's a rheumatologist. And so I literally sat there in his office with him, just me and him in this room. And he's like, well, let me look something up. And I don't know where this idea came from, but he said he remembers something back when he was studying medicine. There's a disease called myasthenia gravis. Basically, your muscles lose the ability to, they just get weaker. And he says, I just found out that you can test for it. So, and I was like, well, where should I go to get tested? He said, I can actually do it right here. So I sat in his office, and he did the test. I don't know what it's called. And he was so excited when he got back into the room, because he was like, we got it. He said, you have myasthenia gravis. And the first thing out of my mouth was, is it curable? And he said no. So, yeah. So anyway, that was 8 years ago, and I've been struggling with myasthenia gravis now. This has made it to where I cannot teach. It's not even safe for me to really be in a classroom, in charge of a whole classroom, you know what I mean? So I'm on disability now, and that's why I'm sitting with you today. So, yeah, but retirement's a trip, man. It's really a trip. You lose your complete identity. One thing is I'm forgetting people's names I used to work with. That's something I didn't think I'd ever do. And this one school that I retired from, I'd been there 16 years. I taught there 16 years. All those great ladies up the hall that I teach with. I was only male at the school. All those ladies, I can remember a few of their names. But the rest, I don't remember their names, and I worked with them for over a decade. So it's crazy. Retirement's been a real trip. I mean, because I'm not using that part of my brain anymore. I'm not having to teach anybody. I'm not even in the school arts realm anymore. I'm in the art realm, but not the school arts realm. And yeah, it's been amazing. So if you're going to retire soon, make sure you have something lined up. Because if you don't, you're going to probably find yourself definitely alone in a room rambling in a live stream or something day after day. Because if you don't have a clear plan on what you want to do, you're going to find yourself with all these hours and you're just trying to make up shit to do, basically. Yeah, or just buying, you know. Yeah, just got these in. This is hopefully has an Erling Haaland rookie. This is give me something to do tonight. I'm going to open these packs. And I got the Darwin Nunez rookie box in. I'm kind of on soccer right now, so I think I'll leave that sealed. Yeah, but as far as quitting Garbage Pail Kids, I don't know, man. The thing is, I don't have anything else really planned. So as I sit here today, I just don't know, man. I'm probably going to call it off or maybe postpone it till next year. I might just give it a break, man. Yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys around. I'm not leaving. Russ Van, out.